I'm going to demonstrate my workflow for processing raw imagery from the camera to a finished product ready to upload as a Google view. In this process I use 4 different softwares including Enfuse Gui, PT Gui, Lightroom, and Photoshop. You'll see here that I'm opening up the 12 images that I captured at a panel location. I'm going to import those into Enfuse Gui simply by selecting all and dragging them into the window, and then I select 3 rather than 12. I just type in the number 3 and hit infuse it and let it do the rest. I prefer keeping everything in JPEG. You can use RAW or create TIFFs if you like. I find that JPEG, when shot correctly, brings me fine results that I don't see a big advantage in creating huge files and huge TIFF files for production purposes. Enfuse Gui does take a little while to operate. It will take those 12 images and create 4 images inside a folder placed in the same folder as the original pictures were at. Those are my 4 merged files, merging high, low, and medium exposures. Now I'm going to use PT Gui to connect those 4 images into a 360-degree equi-rectangular. Here is my finished product. I'm pushing it around a little bit because I like the middle of the view is what is going to open up when the view opens. I find I get better stitching results if I don't have half of a window sitting on the edge of the, if the window edge is not what has to be merged together later. I like to go to the advanced, check on the HDR, and see if I can optimize the image at all. Normally I'll get a little bit of a blip in the HDR settings. This image did not even change 1 iota. So now I'm going to use Smart Blend instead of the blender that PT Gui provides. It's a plug-in that's available online and easy to install. And then create Panorama, which will give me a single equi-rectangular 360 by 180 image. I think the advantage of Smart Blend is it does a better job of blending the tones between both edges of the image so that the final piece spins without any visible sign of a seam to it. Now you can see up above I have the original 4 images that were infused by Enfuse Gui, and here is the first of the merged images. I still have a nadir at the bottom to take care of. I want to look and zoom in a little bit and just make sure the image looks good and up to date, up to the quality that I want to showcase. Now I've got a little tiny bit of a footprint from my pano head, which is what that circular motion was there, plus a large black nadir that needs to be fixed. I'm going to open the image in Photoshop and use the Content Aware tool to remove that black image and replace it with the carpet below. I find this method of dragging across here is a little bit cleaner as far as just picking up the bottom portion of the image. Sometimes if I just do the magic wand and click right there, I'll pick up anything else in the image that's also that same tone of blackness. So I like to just click and drag at the bottom for my selection of what Content Aware will be working with. Now that doesn't look bad. I'm going to remove the marching ants by hitting Control D, and when I create this there is a small little file area, not a file area, there's a small little discrepancy or blemish that you can see in the bottom, and I like to run that Content Aware masking tool one more time before I call it good. Then I'm going to save this at full image quality 12 and save it so that I can compare this to the other so that I can save it as one image that has the nadir now fixed. Now I'm going to bring this image into Lightroom. See if there's anything that I can adjust in the way of white balance. I also will give it some sharpening and detail enhancements. First thing I see when I bring it into Lightroom is that I have some white clipping in the window and the bright light up above in the ceiling. Those I want to fix. So I'm going to adjust the highlights or the whites to drop those down just a little bit, and that will remove the clipping so that I'm not blowing out the contrast in this image. You can see here where the when it's back to 0, that was the clipping, white clipping that I had in the first place, and this is where it reduces it. What I like to see is to look out the window and be able to see something besides a bright hot spot there. I'm able to achieve this by shooting in manual when I capture the image, and at each of the 4 different panel locations I adjust the exposure manually by what my camera says. So in the end, I'm not ending up with a huge bright spot where the windows to the outside are. If I shoot in aperture priority, I don't have control over that window section of the image. When I shoot at a window in manual mode, I also shoot to the side of the window and not directly into the bright light, so that I don't have too much of an exposure adjustment to deal with later. This image looks good now, so I am going to export it as a new image back into the same folder that the first merged image is sitting at now, so that I can compare them side by side. Here is the first one and the second one. You can see that the second one has a little bit brighter of an interior. What I'm looking at here is the window, and it's just a little bit easier, and the one with the brighter interior also shows the cars in the parking lot outside a little bit better. So I still prefer that one and feel safe to remove that. If you'll notice, the first image is 26 megabytes in size. This one now is 32 megabytes in size. If you like working with TIFF files, this is almost as big as a TIFF, so you'll be right at home with that. Now what I do here is I bring it back into Photoshop one more time after Lightroom and save as a JPEG. Now it's not save for web, just save as JPEG, but I reduce the file quality down to 5 instead of 12. By doing that, I drop the file size down to 3 megabytes instead of 32 megabytes. So it reduces it by 1 to 1/10 of the original size. Now I'm going to open up this image and take a quick look, make sure everything still looks good. The way I like to look at it is zoom in a little bit, make sure my sharpening settings worked the way I wanted, and I can see the cars in the parking lot, which makes me happy. So I consider this one a success. I'm going to go ahead and delete the next image and delete the first image we worked with and keep the second image. Thank you. If you have any other ideas on how to improve my workflow, please let me know. I'm not an expert on this. I'm just somebody with a fair amount of practice and somebody who's always willing to learn. So if you have any ideas on how I can improve my workflow, please share them with me at mark@purepanoramics.com.